If you've ever tried to keep track of what you're watching, you've probably ended up using a bunch of different sites like Trakt, Letterboxd, Goodreads, or MyAnimeList. And it just gets messy fast. This is Yamtrack, a self-hosted app that lets you track everything you're watching in one place. And I've started seeing more people move away from platforms like Letterboxd, looking for something they fully control. Today, we're fixing that. We're setting up Yamtrack on Unraid, so you can keep everything in one place that you control. Before we install Yamtrack, you need to have a Redis container running. Yamtrack depends on Redis. Think of Redis as the backend that actually keeps everything tied together and running. Without it, the app might load, but it'll break as soon as you actually try to use it. If you don't already have Redis installed, I'll do a quick run through. In Unraid, you'll go over to Apps, search box, search for Redis. You have several here to choose from. Personally, I like the A75G's version as it has a password option, which is always a good thing to have. That's the one I'm going to use. So once you find it, click install. Not going to worry about that right now. The basic settings in here are going to be the port number. You want it to be the default 6379. Scrolling down a little bit, allow empty passwords. You want to set this to no. This is optional, but I always set it to no because I'd rather have a password. Set the password down below. Scroll down, hit apply, and you're done. Now, an important note, if you do set a password on Redis, you'll need to use that password when you configure Yamtrack. I'll show you exactly how to do that in the next step. All right, let's get this installed. Let's go back up to the Apps tab, head over to the search box, and in there, we'll type in Yamtrack. Once you find it, go ahead and hit install. If you get the attention window saying it requires a separate Redis server, obviously we know that, we just did that. Go ahead and hit OK. Now it wants to know which branch you want to install. I'd choose the default as is the most stable version. Click that, and it brings up the configuration page. And on this page, most of it you can leave as default, but we are going to change a few important things here. First of all, the web UI port that is currently set to 8000. Make sure that port's free. If you're new to the channel, let me show you what I typically do. Go down to the bottom, click Show Docker Allocations, double click on that web port, hit Control F, brings up the Find feature. It shows the results, 1, 2, and it is currently being used by HomeLab Hub. So I need to change this on my system. I'm going to go up by 1, make it 8001, and see if that's available. Once again, double click, Control F, shows one result, nothing down below. That port's free, so I'll stick with that. Go ahead and clean this up a bit. All right, next you'll find a field for a secret. This is used for securing logins and sessions. To generate a nice long secure key for that, let's go up to the terminal icon in the top right corner. And there, we'll run open SSL rand hex 32, not 42, 32. Press enter. There's our secret key that we're going to use. Copy that, and we'll paste it into that field. Now, the important thing here is that you set this once, and you're not going to change it later. If you do, it's going to break all the stuff that's connected to it, and you'll have to reconnect everything. All right, next one, Redis host. So at this point, we just need to connect our Yamtrack to our Redis container. You should already have a Redis container running. If not, make sure that it's started up and it's actually running. If your Redis has a password, you'll need to include that in the connection string here. So the format for that would be, let me just paste it in here, would be like this, Redis, colon, / a colon, and then your password for Redis at the IP that your Redis container is running at, colon, and then Redis's port number. Let me show you what mine would be. So Redis colon, / colon, your password. So super secret is my password at the IP address of the Redis server and the colon and port number for Redis. This is important. If your Redis container has a password and you don't include that password, the app's going to load, but you'll get errors when you try to create an account or pretty much do anything in it. All right, now that that's done, down below, we need to expand Show More Settings. Here you'll find the TMDb API Key field. So for here, you're going to need an API key from the movie database. We need this because this is going to load the posters, movie info, and TV show data. Without this, the app will open, but nothing will populate. If you don't have an API key, then you're going to head over to themoviedatabase.org, like so. You either log in or you join, create an account. It's free. You're going to click on your profile, go to settings, go to the API section. Then you'll request an API key. From there, you'll choose developer. You fill out the form, and you'll get an API key. At this point, if you need that, go ahead and pause the video here. Go get that set up, grab that key, and I'll be here when you get that. Here's what it'll look like. You just go down to the field here, copy that, Go back to your Unraid server, find the TMDb API key field, and you paste it in. All right, the next couple things are optional here. You can allow not safe for work content. You can set this to true or false. I'm gonna leave it on false. The TMDb language, you can set the language preference there. Down below, if you have any other accounts, you just fill those fields in accordingly. For this video, I'm just gonna focus on the TMDb. You can always get that set up, come back and add in the AnimeList or the IGDB if you'd like. All right, scrolling down a bit. A couple more things we need to fill out here. Allowed hosts. Here, this is going to be the domains or the devices that are allowed to connect to the Yamtrack application. If you're going to be exposing this out to the public, make sure it's just set to your domain. For now, I'll just set this to an asterisk so that everybody has access. This just makes sure that we don't run into issues accessing the app during the setup. If you do plan to expose this externally later, you can go back and lock this down with your domain. So you'd put in something like this. They're comma-separated values. First one here allows the demo server to connect. The Yamtrack.alientech42 is the domain that I'd be using externally. Localhost means anything, obviously, from the machine itself. And then Yamtrack is if you're using something like Tailscale, where it just identifies it by machine name. But like I said, for now, we're just going to allow everything in. Next field, allow user registration. Currently, we'll set this to true. Allows you to create an account. Later on, after you get your accounts created, however many you want, you can come back, set this to false, and then it locks it so that no new accounts can get created. All right, scrolling down some more. Next thing down here is the web server process count. If you read the fine print here, it says that they recommend having a value of 2 times the number of cores plus 1. Personally, I've set this to 2, and it's been great. I haven't had any issues. It all depends on how big your collection is. For now, I'm just going to set it to 2. I can always come back and up this if we need more. Everything else should be fine, so just go to the bottom and click apply. We'll let it install, and we'll click done. Now let's go open it up. Go back to our Docker tab. We'll find Yamtrack in the list. There it is. Click on the icon, drop down, and select Web UI. There we are at the login page for Yamtrack. We don't have an account yet, so at the bottom, we're going to register now. Put in our username. Make sure I spelled super secret right. I did not. And then confirm the password. Then we'll click create account, and we're in. Couple quick troubleshooting things here. If the page loads, but things break when you click something, like when you try to log in, create an account, 9 times out of 10, it's Redis. Double check that Redis is running, that your password is correct, and that the connection string is formatted properly. Once you're logged in, we'll go through the settings and get everything configured properly. You'll find settings in the bottom left corner. First thing you'll find here is your account, the username, password. You can change the username, you can change the password here. Common stuff. Next option down is preferences. This allows you to customize Yamtrack so that it works the way that you expect it to work. If you're using a touch device, you can hide overlays. The next one I think is kind of an important thing here, bulk completion dates. By default, it's set for current date. So if you leave this on current date, and then you go back and you mark a bunch of things as completed, your stats are going to be completely off. So what I recommend is dropping this down and do release date. Yes, it won't be accurate as well, but at least it's not going to all be bunched on one day. While you're catching things up, use a release date, and once you're all caught up, you can come back here and switch it to current date if you'd like. All these options in here, you can just set according to whatever your preferences are, date format, time format, all that good stuff. All right, down here at the bottom under media types, this is one of the powerful things that I really like about Yamtrack is it doesn't just track TV shows and movies, but it does anime, manga, it does games, books, comics, board games, you name it. If you want to track all that stuff, leave them on. You'll see over here on the left-hand side, all those items are over here. If you're like, yeah, I don't really, watch much of this stuff, or I don't have comics, or, I'm not into games. Board games seems like too much to track. You just turn those off, click Save Preferences, and those items go away. If you ever want them back, obviously go back into your settings, preferences, come back down here, toggle them back on, hit apply, and they're back. Doing this keeps the interface clean and easy to use. Next thing down, notifications. To keep things simple in the beginning, I'll just leave it off. Next item, integrations. This here is your API token for Yamtrack. If you need it for something, this is where it's at. Down below, here you'll find Jellyfin integrations, the official repo. Down below, you've got the unofficial one, Plex integrations, and MB integrations. Each one has the different requirements listed below, the setup instructions. Pretty easy to follow. Let's save with Plex here. You put in your Plex username, hit Save Changes. It says you'll need a Plex pass for this in order for the webhooks to be enabled. Go into Plex, go to settings, go to your server. You'll find webhooks there. Click on it. You'll add a new one. You copy the information here by clicking that field. Copies it. You paste it in there. You hit add. And now anytime you watch anything in Plex, it'll automatically get updated inside of Yamtrack with the date and time that it was watched. And I think it's really kind of nice that you can use MB, Plex, or Jellyfin. All of those work together. It's pretty fantastic. All right, next down, we've got import and export. If you do have stuff over in Trakt or MyAnimeList, you can just type in your account information here, hit import, it creates a job, it'll go grab the information from your list. This will pull the public profile. If you have a private profile, put a check mark in there, it's going to connect, you got to log in. Does the same thing, pulls all your data into Yamtrack so you don't have to re-enter everything. Down below, you've got options to connect Steam, IMDb settings, Goodreads accounts. Once you've got everything in and you want to do a backup, you can go to export data. You can export as a CSV so that you've got your data. And that's one of the biggest advantages of self-hosting. You actually own your data. Now let's talk about how this works day to day. Over here on the home screen on the left, this is kind of the dashboard. It shows you stuff that's in progress and stuff for planning. The in progress is stuff that you're currently watching, and the planning option is what you plan to watch in the future. This becomes your dashboard. So let's browse for some media. You go to search TV shows in the top. Let's search for Family Guy. Find it. Here you'll see 3 different colors. You've got blue, green, and orange. These represent the different actions for the media selected. The bluish one here is to add a tracker. The green one is to add a custom list. And the orange one is to view the activity. So we're going to add this to the list. Let's click the first icon up here. Now at this point, you can either give it a score, like, this is your favorite show. It's awesome. You love it. And you're going to give it a 9.5. You watch the whole thing. You're up to date. You love it. It's great. You can add comments if you'd like. You hit add. It adds it to your list. Now, if we go back to the home page, you'll see that it's listed here. Next option over here on the left is TV seasons. All right, with TV seasons, this is one thing that I really like. TV shows are broken down by season. So instead of tracking the entire show all at once, you can track it per season or per episode. These, once again, all color-coded. Green is watched. I believe down here, down at the bottom, blue, this one is pending. There's more that are still coming out. If you click on the season, it shows you episode by episode, and you can monitor and mark each episode that you've watched or unwatched. Next one down is movies. Same thing. Search for a movie. Shawshank Redemption looks good. We'll add this to our planning on watching. Anime, same thing. Books, you get the idea. Down below there, we've got Create Custom. This lets you manually add and track pretty much anything. If it's not already in the list, you can create your own, give it a title, put an image on it, mark what type of thing it is, game, TV show, board game, book, whatever. Next down, we've got statistics. This is where everything kind of comes together. Here you can see your activity history, the completion stats, assuming that you had set the bulk completion date correct earlier, different rating trends. At the very bottom down here, you've got a media timeline. So you can look back and see what you watched and when. This is where self-hosting really shines because everything you track here stays here. No accounts across multiple platforms, no syncing issues, just one system. It's really nice. All right, next down, we've got lists. Here you can create custom lists. So you can create stuff like watch later or favorites. Let's do favorites. Give a description. If you want to collaborate with someone else, share the list. You can add them there. Create the list. Go back to our TV show. The center green option is our lists. We can add this to our list. Now when you come back to lists, you'll see your favorites are there. You can think of these lists like folders for your media. Next option is calendar. Here it shows you the upcoming episodes for releases that you're monitoring. As you can see here, Family Guy is coming out today, and that's Yamtrack. Yamtrack lets you self-host your own media tracking. So instead of relying on a bunch of different platforms like Trakt, Letterboxd, Goodreads, or MyAnimeList, you can bring everything into one place that you control. And honestly, that's the biggest advantage here. You're not tied to someone else's platform. You're not worried about features changing, and your data stays yours. To be fair, this isn't going to replace every feature from platforms like Letterboxd or Trakt, but if your goal is to stay organized and keep everything under your control, this does that really well. Here's how I'd use this in a typical Unraid setup. Yamtrack is for tracking, Plex is for watching, Sonar and Radar are for downloading, If you're running something like this or thinking about setting it up, jump onto my Discord. I'd love to see how you're using it. The link is in the description. If you want early access to videos like this, and sometimes days or even weeks early, check out my Patreon, linked below. That's it for this one. If this helped you out, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.